Hello and welcome to the first recording of our quarterly update for the Wholesale Property Series Fund No. 1 or WPS1. My name is Scott Mclennan and I'm the Head of Distribution for the Charter Hall Direct Business. I'm joined by Stephen Bennett, the Chief Executive Officer for the Direct Business, who has ultimate responsibility and oversight of the fund. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that we are not able to provide financial advice. The information provided is an update on WPS1. If you have any queries that relate to your personal investment situation, we encourage you to consult your financial advisor and to read the information memorandum in full. Before we talk about fund's performance over the June quarter, I thought it might be a good opportunity to ask Stephen a few frequently asked questions about why we brought WPS1 to market and how it provides access to some of Charter Hall's best investment themes and ideas. So welcome again to Stephen Bennett.
Thanks, Scott.
Charter Hall has recently celebrated its 30th anniversary, which in that time we've seen phenomenal growth of the business and achieved some wonderful milestones. I know you've been in the business now for over 10 years. What do you think has been the key to our success of the direct business?
Look, you don't have that success over a long period of time without ultimately delivering for our investors. So our investors value the regular and growing income streams, as well as the capital growth which we've been able to provide. One of the benefits of Charter Hall is that we have a national footprint, meaning we have asset managers and property managers located on the ground where our assets are. This means that not only can we secure the best assets, but we can drive some of the best leasing deals in the market. And finally, I would say that we are an institutional manager, meaning we spend money on CapEx and we develop strong relationships with our tenant customers. Because ultimately, a happy tenant is more likely to stay at the properties, and it's the tenants who pay the rent, which ultimately flows through to investors as distributions.
So the demand for our direct platform has been strong. What was the reason behind the launch of WPS1, and how does this fund provide access for our clients to some of Charter Hall's best ideas?
Look, we talked about some of the success factors of the group, and one I should have mentioned is the constant innovation. Ultimately, our objective here is just to provide products that meet the goals of our equity investors. And with WPS1, it presented an opportunity to make some of Charter Hall's best ideas, access to our wholesale funds, some of our partnerships available to our wholesale investors in the direct space. So what do I mean by that? Well, this fund, WPS1, has a high initial investment amount of $250,000. You do need to meet the requirements under the Corps law, but provided you do, it will mean that you can invest into underlying funds, whether it's in industrial logistics, office, long WALE partnerships that are sometimes closed to new investors or have extremely high minimum investment amounts. So I'll give you an example. Our wholesale funds typically have a $20 million initial investment amount. And to do a partnership with someone, we're looking for them to put $100 million in. So WPS1 makes some of these best funds, greatest ideas accessible to our high net wealth clients, our not-for-profit customers, as well as some of the smaller super and pension funds.
So it's really about giving more access to a broader set of our clients.
Absolutely, and the fund is diversified as well. So using management's expertise, working with the investment committee and the fund manager of WPS1, we move the allocations of WPS1 over time. And as we sit here now at 30 June, the largest sector is industrial and logistics at 35%. We have the next biggest being the long WALE partnerships and hardware, as well as an exposure to the office market as well. The top 5 tenants are government, Telstra, Woolworths and Coles. That's a terrific suite of tenants, meaning that the income security is very strong for WPS1.
So we've had a tremendous performance for the last 12 months, and that ability to be able to tactically reweight the portfolio. How do you think that's positioned the fund now, and how has that driven the performance of the fund in the last 12 months?
Yeah, look, we were always very strong on the conviction around industrial logistics. So the fund went into that sector as an overweight position initially. We took a little bit more of a wait and see with the office sector. It is a sector which we believe strongly in, and the fund at 20%, you will see that grow over time. The other thing I'd mention around WPS1 is we've been able to secure investments, not just off the partners, but sourcing some of those through the Charter Hall Group balance sheet, which is a key point of difference and something that most people can't get access to.
Yeah, so what we can do is reweight the fund to where we see certain allocations to sectors that we think will outperform over time. Is that right?
It is, and I won't lie, we're a little bit nervous when we originally launched the fund back in March 2020. As those who would remember, that was the onset of the first period of lockdown. And as we now fast forward some 15 months to where we are now, very fortunately, and I would say strategically weighted and through some good management as well, WPS1 has delivered a 12-month return of 20%. So that isn't something we ever tell investors to expect, but that 20% is really a reflection of how we've curated and allocated into the various sectors and underlying funds in WPS1.
And how do you feel about where the fund now is positioned, Stephen, and the outlook for the market?
Yeah, look, we're very confident, particularly around the expertise we have in long leased assets secured to very strong tenant covenants. I just mentioned the tenants. They're the kind of tenants that will go through different cycles, that will continue to pay rent, and ultimately will drive over time some increased income and distributions for our clients.
So that concludes our WPS1 update for the June 2021 quarter. Thanks for joining us. I hope you've gained some helpful insights into the Charter Hall Wholesale Property Series number 1. If you have any questions on the fund, please get in contact with our team, who'll be more than happy to assist. See you next time.